Okay, one of the first things we're going to look at are the inputs and outputs that are on the amp head. Okay, the first thing we're looking at are the inputs of the guitar line that is on the front of pretty much every amp head out there. On this particular model, we have a high gain and low gain. You would more than likely just want to plug into the high gain. Now on the back of the amp, this particular amp has quite a few inputs and outputs. Some amps don't have this many, but this one does. The next thing we're looking at is the AC plug-in where the electricity comes in. It's a 3-prong plug-in with a ground. The next input is a foot switch or remote switch for which controls your clean and distorted channels. Most of the time it comes with your amp head or is optional, which means you would have to buy. Now here we have the send and return channels for the effects loop, along with the send and return levels potentiometers. We won't be getting into those in this particular tutorial. This particular amp also has a line out, which we won't get to on this tutorial as well. Okay, now we are looking at the back of the speaker cabinet. This usually only has 2 inputs for most, a left and right for stereo or a in and out for a mono setup. Now for this particular setup, we are looking at the back speaker outputs of the amp. As you can see here, there is a switch on the left which controls the amount of ohms the head puts out to the speaker cabinet. This one has the selection of 16, 8, and 4. This is very important when connecting in stereo or mono. Now on the back of the speaker or cabinet, there is also a switch you see here in the center. Up is for stereo, left and right in, and then mono for input and output. If you have a full stack, which is 2 speaker cabinets, you will be in mono because you need to run the output to the input of the second cabinet. Now, to connect your amp head to your speaker cabinet in a mono setup, the speaker cabinet says it does require a 16 ohm load. So you would make sure you hit your switch to 16, and then make sure you're on mono on the back of the cabinet. Now for a mono setup, you want to plug in your speaker cable into the left output of the guitar head, and once again you always want to make sure you're on the right ohm setting of the amp head. Then you can go down and connect the end of the speaker cable into the left input on the speaker cabinet. Make sure you are in the mono position once again. Now we're looking at the foot switch or remote switch. On this particular one, there is one output or input on the back. It uses a MIDI style connecting cable that should come with either your amp head or with the additional foot switch. And on the back of the amp, you have your remote switch, which would plug in to that cable. For this, you just plug it into the back and then just follow the other end all the way to the back of the foot switch, and you're pretty much set to go to control your distortion and clean amp channels as well as the foot switch. Right, now that we have our speaker cabinet all wired up and the foot switch, we're ready to plug in the power cord. First, you would probably want to plug it into the back of the amp head first, and then once you're done with that, you can plug it into the wall or surge protector. I would recommend a surge protector. Now we're ready to plug in the guitar cable, which, like I said earlier, we're going to be using a high gain. That way you can get both distortion channels. And then you just follow that over to your guitar input and just plug that in, and you're almost ready to go. Now on most tube amplifiers, there are usually 2 power switches. The main power just turns on the power to the amp, while the other one is more of a input where it lets the tubes actually warm up. Once they are warmed up, you can always hit that switch and you're ready to go.